The real reason why these WWE wrestlers changed their finisher. Number 10. Shawn Michaels. The sweet chin music is one of the most famous finishing moves in wrestling history, yet it may come as a surprise to newer fans that Shawn Michaels didn't always use the move as his finisher. Initially as a singles star, HBK would use a teardrop suplex as his primary finishing move. The change came when the legendary Pat Patterson informed HBK that he should begin to use a superkick, aka sweet chin music, as his new finishing move. HBK would reveal this information during an interview with Sam Roberts. When I first went singles, I was trying to use what I later heard was called a teardrop suplex. I just used the double underhook and crotch the guy and suplex him. So I was using that one, and Pat Patterson came to me one day. He said, "I like it, but the kick is actually more impactful than the suplex. What do you think about using that one?" And I was still new as a singles. I said, "Sure, heck, I'm just trying anything." And so we did that, and then it just sort of kept going. So I guess we can thank Pat Patterson for having Shawn Michaels use the superkick as his finisher. Definitely a more legendary finishing move than the teardrop suplex. Number 9. Chris Jericho. In 2001, when Chris Jericho was pushed into the main event scene, WWE decided to give Jericho a new finishing move. Jericho's finisher would be known as the Breakdown, and it was in essence an early version of the skull-crushing finale. Despite Jericho being one of the most talented pure wrestlers on the roster in early 2000s, he can never truly master the move, and he often looked awkward delivering it. Ultimately, this was the reason why Jericho abandoned the move completely and reverted to the Walls of Jericho and the Lion Salt. Jericho in his book would discuss that the awkward part came when he was physically setting up the move, and the wrestling legend was spot on with this assessment. Number 8. Sheamus. When Sheamus first arrived in WWE, he would use a version of the Razor's Edge known as the High Cross. This was a fantastic finishing move, yet the execution was often lacking, as it took a lifetime to set up and the crowd had fully disconnected by the time he had delivered the move. Over time, the former WWE champion would ditch the move in favor of the bro kick, and there were several rumors circulating during Sheamus' main event run as to why this occurred. One rumor at the time stated that Vince McMahon felt like the move was too dangerous, especially when Sheamus was working with top names such as John Cena and Randy Orton. The other theory stated that the WWE believed Sheamus needed a more impactful move as his main finisher, and that's where the bro kick came in. Although the move hasn't been Sheamus' finisher for over a decade now, he still likes to bring it back for big matches, most notably his acclaimed classic against Gunther at 2022's Clash at the Castle. Number 7. Seth Rollins. Out of nowhere in 2015, Seth Rollins suddenly stopped using the curb stomp as his finishing move. The move was one of the most popular moves in the company, and fans eagerly awaited an explanation as to why the move had been retired. Now, the curb stomp was banned because Vince McMahon believed that the move looked too dangerous. McMahon believed that wrestlers hitting their head on the mat with some degree of force was going to lead to an influx of concussions. Whilst it was appreciated that McMahon was looking out for the talent, he had no rationale behind banning the popular move, as the stomp had yet to injure a single wrestler on the roster. Rollins discussed this during an appearance on Wikipedia Fact or Fiction, and this is what the talented star had to say. He thought it was too violent. I was going to do the Today Show, then the following morning after I'd won the title with that move, and obviously they're replaying me winning the title, and whether he saw it or anybody else saw it, or there was a conversation that involved him, he decided that we'll do something different. I've been using it for a few years up to that point and won the title with it, but we went a different direction the following night. Following the ban being implemented, Rollins would use various new finishes including a falling DDT, a knee to the head, and even a pedigree. None of these finishes managed to reach the level of hype and popularity that the stomp had attained, and thankfully after some time, McMahon decided to reverse the ban, and the stomp had been a staple in Rollins' arsenal ever since. Number 6. Matt Hardy. For the first portion of his WWE career, Matt Hardy enjoyed delivering a leg drop from the middle or top rope as his finisher. Hardy would even use a trademark finisher from the top of his steel cage at the Unforgiven pay-per-view in 2005. Hardy gradually stopped using the move and now only delivers a move on special occasions. Now, the real reason as to why Hardy left the move behind was due to him needing to change his in-ring style. Hardy went into depth on the topic during an interview with Chris Van Vliet, and he revealed that it all began to change following the Unforgiven 2005 match with Edge. I think a lot of it changed after the Unforgiven 2005 match versus Edge when I did the leg drop off the top of the cage. I'll never forget, I walked back through the curtain, Ted DiBiase and IRS Mike Rotunda, they looked at me and said, "Oh my god, how are you feeling after that?" And I said, "I have adrenaline going right now, ask me tomorrow." Hardy continued by saying, "But I couldn't walk straight for like 4 weeks. I had a little kink in my step." And that's where the point where I said, instead of doing that leg drop every single time, I'm going to do a drop on the elbow to the back of the neck and land on my feet. That was the biggest turning point for me as far as learning how to work smarter, especially with the way it pertains to bumps. Number 5. Tyler X. While Tyler Rex didn't have a main event run in WWE, he was mostly known for using the Burning Hammer as his finishing move. The Burning Hammer is one of the most visually appealing finishes to ever been created, and it's a huge shame that Rex wasn't able to use it for the entire duration of his WWE tenure. The reason as to why Rex was forced to stop using the move was a mix of backstage politics and the influence of one man, that being John Cena. According to Rex, he delivered a botched version of the move on Primo at a live event, and this didn't sit well with WWE's top star. When Rex came through the curtain, Cena informed the young star that he needed to change his finisher. According to Rex, he was unable to tell if Cena was joking, so he continued using the move, and this made Cena noticeably angrier. This was the turning point for Rex as he realized that Cena was being completely serious. It's been speculated for the longest time that Cena's issue was that the Burning Hammer on occasion could resemble the AA, and Cena naturally didn't want anyone on the roster having a similar finisher. Number 4. Dean Ambrose. During Dean Ambrose's time in WWE, he used two different versions of the Dirty Deeds. The first version was a headlock driver move, which could look great if delivered on the right guy, yet the issue for Ambrose was that it was extremely difficult to execute when performing it on larger talents. According to Ambrose during an interview with Fightful, this influenced his decision to switch to the double arm DDT. The double arm DDT would afford him great success in the company, and it was even the move he used to win the WWE title. A headlock driver is awesome if you got the right guy. If you're doing it to the right guy, it can be the nastiest, coolest pile driver looking thing in the world, or if the guys are taller than you, which so many of the guys in WWE were taller than me, it can just be really awkward and stupid looking. I think I gave it to Randy Orton one time, who has sort of a significant height advantage on me, and it was just awkward, and I was like, that's it, I'm switching this up. It was actually Joey Mercury's idea to switch the double arm DDT. Number 3. Damen Priest. Upon Cody Rhodes returning to WWE in 2022, it was questioned if Damen Priest would be forced to change his finisher. At the time, Priest was using his own finisher of the Crossroads, and it may have been awkward to have two uppercard stars using the same move as a finisher. Priest would ditch the move almost immediately after Rhodes' return, and whilst it was commonly believed that this was down to Rhodes returning, Priest revealed in an interview that it was actually his own idea to pick a new finisher. Speaking to Denton Day, Priest revealed, "No, I asked to bring back the Razor's Edge as part of my moveset. For many years, the Razor's Edge was a move that, it's not like a banned move, but it was a move that Vince McMahon wasn't really a fan of because some wrestlers had been injured in the past." Priest added that he was eventually able to come up with his own modified chokeslam finisher known as South of Heaven. Fast forward and it's the same situation, and Vince was like, I don't know, let's see, and he even said it. He said it, if you can do it like Razor, then yeah. And then I did it and he was okay with it. He felt comfortable and he thought it looked good. It's a powerful move, it's a part of the repertoire, but I know everybody read a lot into it. The idea was solely that I wanted to do a move, and I did the move, and I do a chokeslam, which I used to finish off opponents with, but now it's just a part of my repertoire. I have the Reckoning that I've used more and lately. Number 2. Triple H. And before Triple H introduced fans to the pedigree, he would use a cutter style move as his primary finisher. Triple H began to use this at the same time in which Diamond Dallas Page was getting over with the fans in WCW, and due to the relationship between the game and DDP, DDP reached out to his friend and asked if he wouldn't mind using a different move. Triple H had no issues in picking another move, and he was quick to abandon the cutter and debut the devastating pedigree on WWE TV. This was without a doubt the correct decision, as the pedigree had become incredibly iconic and truly helped elevate the game's in-ring persona and presentation in the 90s and beyond. And number 1. Randy Orton. Randy Orton had the RKO in his arsenal for over 2 decades now, and there's only one finishing move attached to Orton that has a long and somewhat confusing history. Orton began to use a punt kick on WWE TV in 2007, and this was used to get Orton's villainous character over and take him to the next level. WWE management had a weird relationship with the move, as it had seemingly been banned and unbanned numerous times over the past 15 years or so. The first ban was introduced in 2012, and Orton was quick to question the logic of WWE banning the move. Speaking on the Universal Wrestling podcast, the WWE great stated,
"And the feeling was, if he does it as a shoot, he's kicking someone full blast in the head, and we can't do that. If he works it, it looks awful, and we can't do that. So now Randy doesn't get to do his punt kick at all." And for months after this, anytime you brought any creative to the Apex Predator, he would look at it and go, "So we can do this, but I can't do my punt kick?"
The punt kick would reappear time and time over the years, most notably during the COVID-19 pandemic. This saw Orton bring back his celebrated legend killer persona for a brief period. Its current status is unknown, as Orton often seems to set up the move yet rarely lands it. It's possible that due to WWE's strong and rightful stance on concussions that the move is banned, yet this would ultimately be something that Orton himself would have to address. But there you have it, folks, the real reasons that these WWE wrestlers change their finishers. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.